Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about what's happening in New York City because honestly, it has been highly fascinating to watch. Zohran Mamdani, the newly elected mayor, we know he comes in promising free programs everywhere, saying it's all going to be covered for by the rich, tax the rich. That was the pitch. And now we're starting to see how that's actually playing out. And I mean, color me shocked. Surprise, surprise. It's not going exactly according to the campaign brochure. And Mamdani is quickly becoming the timeshare of U.S. mayors, where it sounds amazing when the sales rep is telling you that it'll be great, you'll own your own timeshare. And then after you buy it, you realize it was all one big scam. And so now New York is turning out Mamdani. As always, if you do enjoy the content, smash the thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know. And subscribe to stay locked in with future videos. And make sure you turn those notification bells on because YouTube, I don't know, acts kind of freaky sometimes. But let's get into it.
I'm Assemblyman Zohran Mamdani, and I'm running for mayor to freeze the rent for every rent-stabilized tenant.
Wait, you're gonna freeze my rent?
Yes.
Did I hear rent freeze?
Yes! This guy's gonna freeze the rent.
No hike?
None.
This guy's gonna freeze the rent.
It's true. As your next mayor, I will freeze your rent. If we do not fix this structural imbalance and do not heed the calls of New Yorkers to raise taxes on the wealthy, this crisis will not disappear. It will simply return, year after year, forcing harder and harsher choices each time. And if we do not go down the first path, the city will be forced down a second, more harmful path. Faced with no other choice, the city would have to exercise the only revenue lever fully within our own control. We would have to raise property taxes.
So I guess he's asking, what's a 2% tax increase on a multimillionaire?
If you're already the highest tax jurisdiction in America, it's a massive tax. You know, what I love about this guy, and I'm giving him credit, he goes big. He goes big, and he's got a fantastic social media team. This is great. This is bat poo-poo crazy, what he is proposing. And probably sometime next year, within 12 to 18 months, I will meet him in Miami and give him real estate agent of the year award. Because I'm not happy with what's happening. I can't get across the bridge anymore. I live in Miami Beach. Everybody from New York and New Jersey and Massachusetts is moving into my neighborhood. I'm pissed off. And this guy's just doing more of it. What he's proposing is beyond insane, but I love it.
You are
now,
very
I'm
dramatic
like everybody else. Listen, you guys live here. You're not paying your fair share.
I don't live here.
You've got to pay 110%. That's the right thing to do. Because he's not cutting spending.
No, but
he's just going to tax you into oblivion.
You said this is distressing.
Oh, very distressing. And what I noticed in that soundbite, you guys called it an ultimatum. I'd go as far to call it a threat. And I don't like to see elected officials threatening each other in this way. Hochul's worried about her reelection, and she knows that a tax hike in any way, shape, or form will not be received well by voters. So this isn't just about her winning. It's that people don't want it, and he doesn't get that message.
But he'll probably do it if she wins and Bruce Blakeman. She'll probably do it anyway, just like the whole congestion pricing thing, which she swore she wouldn't do.
And it was debacle.
Yeah, so you heard that. And the crazy part is, this didn't require some advanced economics degree to figure out. Ladies and gentlemen, just basic common sense would do. Free stuff isn't free. And yeah, when you want to expand the government, it's going to cost money. And if you push taxes high enough on a small group of wealthy people, no matter how wealthy they are, they're not going to sit there and absorb it. At least not forever. They're going to restructure. They're going to relocate. They're going to protect their assets. We've seen this movie before. And so when I hear Democrats say things like, we're going to make your life more affordable, and then the first sentence out their mouth is, by taxing the rich to pay for it, I immediately think, all right, but I don't think that's going to pan out the way you think it is. Because here's what usually happens when the numbers don't add up. They pivot. And all of a sudden it becomes, we're going to broaden the tax base. Translation, everybody else. Middle class, upper middle class, homeowners, the people who actually have steady taxable income and can't just move to Florida next week. Those are the people who end up footing the bill. That's the pattern, and New York is just the latest example playing out in real time. And so now you got the New York City Council pushing back against Mamdani's so-called last resort budget proposal. Check it out.
There's some controversy surrounding Mayor Mamdani's plan to close the city's $5 billion deficit.
Yeah, the mayor's calling for higher taxes on corporations and millionaires. He also wants the state to send more money. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate live from City Hall with the details on this. Some people good with this, others not so much, Phil.
Yeah, Charlene, you got that right. Good morning to the both of you. And that's as the city council appears to be against Mayor Mamdani's budget proposal of raising property taxes by 9.5%. The mayor saying, however, this is a last-ditch effort in order to close in on that $5 billion budget gap that the city is facing. The mayor has repeated the call for higher taxes on major corporations and millionaires, returning more tax dollars from the state to the city. Now, if he's unable to tax the ultra-wealthy, something decided by the governor, he's proposing a property tax increase on more than 3 million residential apartments and over 100,000 commercial buildings. He would draw down $980 million from the city's rainy day fund and another $229 million from the retiree health benefits fund. The mayor says there will be no cuts to city services, from outreach to the homeless and for services for the mentally ill. However, the mayor is laser focused at chipping away at a $5 billion budget deficit by increasing taxes, but everyone isn't on board.
Think about the senior citizens who's living on the margins already. We have a food insecurity issue. People are struggling out there, and this is a non-starter.
He should be decreasing spending that isn't improving New Yorkers' lives. That's where he should be focused now. Not increasing taxes, but decreasing unuseful spending.
Jared Walzak, a senior fellow at the Tax Foundation, a nonprofit, says bumping up property taxes would lead to rent increases, make New York City less desirable, and go against the national trend.
What I will say beyond this is that across the country, most cities, most states are reducing property tax rates, not raising them.
Yeah, so you heard that. And so what people with common sense are saying, and what Zohran Mamdani seems to be willing to ignore, is that raising property taxes does not happen in a vacuum. There's a ripple effect. It doesn't just hit the people who you think it will hit. It ends up trickling down more times than not. Because what do you think happens when a homeowner, not some billionaire, just someone who owns a house or maybe a rental property or two, suddenly sees their property taxes jump? They're going to adjust one way or another. Period. And who does that affect? Not the wealthy. It affects working class tenants. It affects lower income families. It affects the very people who were told by Mamdani that he was going to make life better for them by creating more government programs paid for by, yes, the rich. And so now you've got homeowners in New York speaking out saying, wait a minute, this isn't exactly what I signed up for. Check it out.
Mayor Mamdani's proposed budget has scared a lot of people. Homeowners, co-op and condo owners, building owners, anyone who could see their property tax bills go up if Albany doesn't find extra money to bail the city out of its fiscal crisis. Political reporter Marcia Kramer has the story.
Flushing, Queens is a neighborhood of homeowners who are proud of their leafy streets, tiny plots of land, and the ability to have a touch of suburbia. Many, like Paul Graziano, have lived in the neighborhood for decades, but now they're worried they could be forced out by Mayor Mamdani's threat of a huge property tax hike. He says of his neighbors,
I think they would freak out.
Paul is worried too.
Absolutely impinge everything. I mean, I'm raising a 9-year-old kid, and everybody knows when you're raising kids, it's every dollar counts.
His taxes have already skyrocketed. When he bought this home in the neighborhood he grew up in, the taxes were $2,800. Now they're $11,000. Mamdani tax hike would mean another hike of over $1,000, and he's furious.
This is coming from someone who has never had to fight for anything in his life, who grew up in privilege and wealth. So, of course, raising property taxes on rich people, such as himself, isn't much of a burden.
But it's not just homeowners. Ann Korshak owns 2 small West Side buildings, which each have 10 apartments.
There's no restraint. They just come to us as if we're an ATM machine.
She says the Mamdani tax hike, if it comes to fruition, will affect her tenants, too.
It's going to make it much harder for me to replace a boiler. Instead, I'm going to repair it. Patch a roof instead of replacing a roof. Those are the kinds of decisions you have to make when, 40% of your rent roll is going to the city in property taxes.
The mayor says raising property taxes is not his first choice. He wants more money from Albany, but
this is a budget that reflects the only tools that the city has at its disposal. when we are speaking about property taxes, that is a tool of very last resort.
Yeah, so you heard that. And so I wanted to share this because Mamdani has been vocal about not cooperating with ICE and Trump-proofing New York City, he has mentioned in the past. And so let's go ahead and check this out. This comes from the New York State Comptroller, and it's the Asylum Seeker Spending Report. The Office of the State Comptroller has created this tool to document state and city emergency spending related to people seeking asylum. The information will be updated quarterly. Data are available for download below. And so it says state spending, the 2025-2026 enacted budget financial plan indicates the state plans to spend $4.3 billion between state fiscal year 2022-2023, which is already passed, through state fiscal year 2026-2027 for emergency spending related to people seeking asylum in the United States. Yeah. And so when people say, why is affordability getting worse, or why are budgets so tight, this is part of the picture. May not be the whole picture, but it's definitely part of the picture. And here's the point. You can debate policy all day, but the bill is real, and somebody always has to pay. Just depends on who it's going to be. But that's the update and my thoughts. Now I want to hear from you. Drop your comments down below. As always, you enjoy the content, smash that thumbs up button. That's the best way to let me know. Subscribe to stay locked in with future videos. Until next time.